Good morning, everybody. Just got a little issue. I can't share my screen again. I don't know what's going on with this bloody Zoom. So I'm just hoping Stel can pop in and I can pop out and pop back in again. So just bear with us for a moment, please. Well, might as well keep talking while we're here. Hope you're all having a good morning. There's Stel. Right. Stel, I'm going to hand you over control, mate. And then I'm
Hello,
going to...
hello, I'm here.
Hello.
Hello.
Right. I'm making you host. Bloody hell. The buttons pop back.
You see, it needs the Greek to come into the flow show and everything's working. I might as well stay here for a little bit.
Yeah, you can stay for a little bit. Do you want to make me
Yeah.
host again, just in case you do pop out and shut everything off?
Yeah. How's everything?
Yeah, all good, mate. You?
Not bad, not bad. Bad.
Little surprise. We've got Stelios in the house. Yeah, if you're not doing anything, mate, stick around for a bit.
Yeah, I will stick around. I will stick around.
Get your input.
We'll have a chat.
We'll have a chat. Right, there we go. Screen shared. Morning again, everybody. Right, let's get cracking. I'm going to go over some of the headlines as per usual. Just before we do, though, just as you can see on the screen there, we've got our newsletter. You can sign up to see what's coming with Trade Analytics. We dropped our last little tidbit in the last weekend's newsletter, so you can find out what exactly we're up to. Well, some of the things we're up to. So if you're not on that newsletter, just go to that page, forexanalytics.com/coming_soon. Pop in your email and your name, and you'll be updated. You also go in the draw. What's the prize this month still?
We have three prizes. One is a 25,000 TFP account, and the other two is a 30-day Forex Analytics subscription and a 60-day Forex Analytics subscription. So there you go.
Yeah, so some great prizes there. If you're already on the list, don't worry. If you already get the newsletter, don't worry. You'll be automatically entered into that draw. And if you're an existing subscriber, we'll add that. If you win the free 30 or 60 days, we'll just add that onto your subscription. We'll do the draw at the end of the month, like we have been with all the others. Right, moving on. So starting in starting in Japan. Get me geographical stuff right. Current Economic Minister Akazawa is going to be leaving his post. There's two real positions of importance that we need to find out about: the Finance Minister and the Economy Minister. Well, Akazawa's off, though he is going to remain in government, just in another role. As far as this special Diet session that's upcoming to give the rubber stamp to Takaichi or get her voted in officially as PM and get Ishiba out, we keep hearing about delays. First it was the 15th, then maybe the 17th, then maybe the 20th. It might be later than that now, which could create a bit of a problem because her first role will be, or her first job will be, to get through the supplementary budget by the end of the month. So there's a bit of a timing squeeze on. The reason for this delay is that there's ongoing talks with all the other opposition parties, the potential coalition parties, which could affect the vote itself. So it's not a done deal yet that she passes through unless she gets some of those agreements. We've had one of the ex-BOJ deputy governors, Wakatabe, saying it's likely difficult to justify a BOJ rate hike this year due to weak Q3 growth prospects. A bit of a warning there. We'll find out at the end of October, towards the end of October, what the BOJ is going to do. Some data out from Japan. We had machine tool orders. If I can find it on the calendar, where is it? There we go. This is year-on-year numbers for September. Flash numbers up 9.9%. So that was pretty good there. In Europe, just a bit of data out from Germany. Although they're seeing a better trade balance, it's coming at as lower activity rears its head again, seeing negative numbers on both sides, just because there was worse imports and exports improved the trade balance, but activity-wise, we're seeing both coming in negative, which is a bit of a theme over there. Things are still not looking good for Germany. For some reason, they must have been smoking some tyre smoke from France. The German Economic Ministry revised up their growth forecast for this year to 0.2% from flat. Good luck with that one. On the other side, politics, Chancellor Merz is hosting a crisis meeting with German auto companies later today. There's a lot of stuff going on there amongst the auto industry. They're not in a good place at all. It says the coalition will do everything it can to help the auto industry. They've yet to agree a final position on their combustion plan, and they're aiming for an accord on that ban on Thursday. That's really part of the problem with what's going on in autos, not just in Germany, but the big EV push isn't producing the goods as it should do. So that's why a lot of auto firms are up in arms about the ban on diesel and other combustibles. The coalition has agreed on a 3 billion EV incentive package through 2029. So they're trying to smooth the course for that. While we're on cars, it seems to be an autos related day today. Ferrari has apparently halved its 2030 target for EV production. So these EVs aren't going well. Stel, if you had a choice between an EV Ferrari and a good old revving Ferrari, what would you go for? I don't even need to
hold on. I am a old-fashioned guy. I have 3 cars, all manual, and you know, ain't no substitute for petrol, man.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what electronic noises they plug into it to make it sound like it's a petrol engine. You can't beat it. But yeah, so that was a silly question to ask you, really. Moving on to French politics. French Finance Minister Lescure says he's convinced France can get a 2026 budget deal. Really, the only surprise with that is that he hadn't resigned 5 minutes later. In a poll, Macron's approval rating fell 3 points to 14%, which we'd probably class that as a win, that it wasn't worse. We finally heard from Macron, sort of. In a statement, he said he will name a new PM within 48 hours and a budget path is possible by the end of December. A bit of a hope trade there. He said the majority of lawmakers oppose the dissolution. Well, not the opposition parties, the main ones, because they're still pushing for it. Over to the UK, and we've had Bank of England's man out saying UK inflation remains persistently persistent, and the outlook for growth remains modest. We didn't have much data out from the US yesterday. We did have the NBA mortgage apps. That came in at minus 4.7. Purchase index took a little dip there. Something that a lot of people keep an eye on is this mortgage rate, which stayed pretty much unchanged at 6.43%. We had the FOMC minutes. As per usual, we've heard from 1,000 Fed heads already, so not much change there. Mo said it's likely appropriate to ease policy more this year, and a few officials could have supported staying on hold in September. Now, one change we have had is one of the Fed old guard, one of the big wigs, Feds Williams. He's been pretty sort of neutralish in terms of his stance. Oh, there's my squawk. Switch that off. He's been pretty neutral sort of in his stance, but he took a very, very dovish turn just before the show started, saying he doesn't see any signs of second-round effects or factors that could be amplifying the effects of tariffs on inflation. He supports further interest rate cuts this year. Underlying inflation seems to be moving gradually lower towards 2%. It was appropriate to bring interest rates back to a neutral setting. The tariff effects have been a little smaller than expected. and thinks there's more downside risks to the labour market and employment. So that gave the dollar a little bit of a knock on the head when those comments came out. As I say, given his prior comments, that was a little bit of a dovish turn there, though we know that the Fed is, in the most part, looking to cut again the rest of at least 2 times the rest of this year. So he's just moving in line, shall we say, off the neutral line into the more dovish line. The US has apparently asked the EU to dismantle its green regulations. Otherwise, it could threaten the current trade deal, something that the EU got anxious about yesterday. A UK PM spokey said that the UK is in advanced discussions with the US on these pharma tariffs. They want to try and get a deal. Mexico President Sheinbaum says trade talks with the US are going well, and they're going to hold key trade talks next week. China could be up to shenanigans again. They've announced export controls on some rare earth equipment and materials that will take effect November the 8th. They also put BAE Systems on their one of their watch lists, which was a bit of a negative. Probably one of the biggest firms they've put on there thus far. They say that China's export curve is to safeguard China's safety and interest. So things had opened up a bit on the rare earth front, but perhaps they're closing up a bit, maybe due to Trump and his truck tariffs. We played the same old Groundhog Day yesterday with regarding the shutdown. Apparently, Speaker Johnson will not bring the House back to vote on paying troops as scheduled 15th of October. So that's now the military, air traffic controllers and farmers who are getting it in the keister with the shutdown. The Democratic bill to stop the shutdown failed. The Republican bill to stop the shutdown failed. Now the IRS is going to furlough 46% of its staff, which is some 34,000, which might be a pretty big deal because obviously one place they will keep open is the tax department. They won't want to give up collecting your taxes, but staff, emergency staff that are in place to deal with all that will remain in place. We've got a deal at last between Israel and Hamas. They've agreed the first phase of the peace plan. Hostages are expected to be released either Saturday, Sunday or Monday. Trump is certainly trying to push for that Nobel Peace Prize nomination ahead of that. I can't remember when that is, a week or a couple of weeks' time. But anyway, better news potentially there that we get hostages out and all that stuff can stop. Oof, that's it. Stel, you got anything that you've been looking at in the news particularly that struck your mind?
No, really, Williams was the one with all the comments, but I think you covered everything. You're good.
Yeah, thank you very much, mate. Yeah, I've had a lot of practice. Ali, Kay's on another little. Oh, it's tomorrow, Joe. Thank you. Kay's on another little jaunt holiday. He's off to Belgium. He went today or yesterday, so he'll be back next week. Yeah, no wonder Trump's pushing for this. I'll tell you what, I've been reading some stories about this Nobel stuff. He's actually really thinking he's in the frame for it, so he's going to be spitting some feathers if he doesn't get it, I think. I mean,
I'd be very surprised if he gets nominated, but anyway, you never know in this world. You never know.
Yeah, you never know. I think it was Kay who said yesterday, if he doesn't get it, expect 1,000% tariffs on Norway. So that should happen. While you're here, might as well look at gold quickly because that saw a little bit of a sell-off.
Silver is the one today.
Yeah, we'll look at that. We'll look at both. We'll look at both. Some are putting this sell-off down to that Israel-Hamas news, a bit of risk-positive headlines. Which really, if we'd have been trading this Israel stuff over the last 2 years, we would have seen a bit bigger sell-off than that coming. So that just shows you that a lot of this rally is perhaps not to do with risk, but is other stuff unrelated. But we had a little dip. 4,000 showed up. I had 39.90s pegged as a potential support point, but we hit the figure twice, bounced from there. We've gone through a couple of these minor levels. I think this level's proving to be important around this 40, 40, 41, because we had a little bit of traffic around there before. Now we can't get back above it. I think you've got to look at this the same way yesterday. If we push above it, are we going to break through the 50-50 level onto new highs? So if we get a move that goes through here, hits that 40-50, can't get through, that could signal that we got a bit of a top forming, be that short term or otherwise, but it's got to make a start somewhere. Conversely, if we fail to get through this level, that would be an indication that we got a top anyway. And if that's the case, you might find that we're going to see a little bit of a pushback, a little bit of a pullback that might take it through that 4K level. But this is all short-term stuff, intraday price watching. So just be careful. You can trade off some of these levels when you start seeing some evidence that they're actually holding. So keep an eye on that. Silver still. What's going on in silver? No stop.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? Everybody's been looking at that 50 level for years now, and we're there. So what happens now? We either blow past it and never look back, or we go above and then false breakout, and then all bets are off. So I'm not, I really don't know. You know me, I've been a silver bull for a few years now, and it's worked out really well. But now I'm starting to get very cautious because everybody's looking for $150 of silver now, and this is it, you know, the end. And whenever that happens, I get very, very cautious with all metals now. So I'm not short, but I'm not long anymore.
Yeah, so I was going to ask you a question. How do you deal with that? Because I mean, I'm someone who doesn't like giving up a winning trade, and I'm not saying you're wrong or anything like that. But you know, when you've been in a trade for so long and finally it's flying, what is the trigger for you to say, okay, this is too much, rather than keeping some on because this could be a real runner from here?
That's a very good question. Well, I had the target. I was one as well looking for 50, but I always said to myself, it either blows past straight away or we kind of stop in the 48s, 49s. And I had put my target, above 48 basically. And I said, if we get there, then I'm out. Because remember, I got long at 23.10 in my first position. Then I got a couple more on the way, but it was a good chunk of percentage gains. And my thought was, I've made all this. I'm gonna get out. If I lose, a couple of bucks, because this is what we're talking about. If it blows out and goes, 50 and a half plus, then I'm gonna get back in. And then I know where my stop is, just below 50. So I'd rather not get the last $1 or $2 and be out and be completely relaxed about the trade than holding it. And then if it starts going lower, then you get in this psychological thing. Oh my God, what do I do now? Do I keep it for a little bit more? Well, I've made so much. Yeah, maybe try another buck or two. And then it can really snowball out of control.
Yeah,
so
you start bleeding away. Yeah.
Yes, and I'm not saying that I do that often, but I've done it. So I don't want to do that. I bank everything, and then now for the last couple of days I've been sleeping like a baby, and because I have nothing now, I have very, very few positions, and now I'm just watching. And if I lose this, 48 to 50, I don't mind, because if that breaks, then that means that there's a lot more coming, theoretically. If that doesn't break, then it was the right call to get out and then see where we get support. And I think support, if we do not break out, support is probably 41.5 to 42, somewhere around there. So we have a good deal of pullback to make if things start turning south.
Yeah, very much so. I'm going to have
My
to
humble
update
opinion, as always.
Yeah, no, it's always welcome, as always, mate. I'm going to have to update the text on my chart. You can see the last time I put any lines and fibs and whatnot on here years ago. So I'm going to have to do a bit of updating on that. But yeah, I think, we've had this was a prior high, one of the prior highs, I think 47, 15, 20. And that's already a support point. So that's pretty solid. But yeah, you can use this 50 mark. If we break it and hold it, it should have some legs for a break. But you are going to see probably a lot of selling into here because, like you said, there's a lot of people been eyeing this level, and there'll be a lot of people taking profit.
Yeah. And by the way, we have a couple of people asking, when I meant bucks, I mean, $48, $49 in silver, silver price, not million or whatever. And you're right, in banks, millions are bucks and billions are yards. So there you go. But I was
Yeah.
talking about, going from 48 to 49, for example, being $1.
Yeah. We won't start talking about monkeys and ponies and bullseyes.
Monkey and the monk. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, that takes me back.
That
Did I
takes
tell
you
you
back to you.
I met up with one of my swaps brokers 2 days ago from, back in 2004, 2005. He was here in Athens for a day and we reminisced. It was fun.
Yeah, good. That's some UK slang there for pounds and different denominations. Monkeys, ponies, bullseyes, all the lot. Houblons, yeah, everything.
Yeah.
Anyway, right, moving on. Going to have a look at this dollar yen because it was looking like it was having a little wander above 153. We actually tagged it yesterday, then we broke it today, but that didn't last too long, and that Williams stuff has put a bit of a kibosh on. But we have seen a little bit of dollar weakness, just coming in smalls across some of the levels. So this one's still flying really high. One thing I've been keeping an eye on, because everyone's talking about intervention as usual. There's a thing, I've spoken about it here on the show, called the trade weighted index that is produced on a daily FX report by the Bank of Japan. It's their measure for how strong or weak the yen is. It's actually come down since before 2 days before the weekend. So before the election, it's actually come down since then. So in terms of the Ministry of Finance seeing if any of these moves are broad weakness, it's not showing in that trade weighted index. The last time they intervened, it was sailing up at the 83, 85 area, quite hot. We're down at 77.06 as of today. So that's an element that they won't be worried about in terms of intervention. So they'll be purely looking at the volatility, and that's calmed down a bit over the last couple of days. So as far as intervention goes, at the moment, it looks like they are not going to be hitting the panic button anytime soon. In the meantime, where are we going for support? Well, there's a bit of support just here around the 45.50 area, maybe a bit more, 2025. This 152, though, is going to be the key level. If we get a pullback to there that holds, because this is one of my monster lines, then this one is, if I can get in there, here we go, 152. This one, as I've shown before, is a biggie. It goes way, 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 way back before even 2023. Okay, there we go, 2022. So this will be a big test if we dip to that 152 and it holds. It will just keep this move going. But we've had 3 days of gains this week. Will this be a spoiler, or will we get another gain? All you gap traders are going to be itching a bit because we've been a long, long way away from that gap. Euro dollar, that's looking a bit weak as well. We've had a test down at the figure 116s. The bounce doesn't look too hot though. Just about got up to 116.50, and we've come back very, very quickly. So just keep an eye on this one as well, because we could have a little bit of a big figure break. A level I'm looking at is down at this 115.70s, just a prior bit of an area where we've just messed around a bit, and was a prior low back in August. So I'm keeping an eye on that one, because if we're busting there, then we're probably going to go for a little look at the 115, which once again is another one of my monster levels. You'll know all about that level from prior shows and whatnot. So this trend is still in place, this bearish trend that we've had from the 119s. Doesn't mean we're going to outright collapse, but we're not looking as strong as we were before amid this dollar strength. Still, any thoughts on the euro?
Well, our subscribers will know that 2 or 3 days ago, I think it was Monday, I updated my macro view on the dollar in general and on the Dixie, and the euro is 50% of the Dixie. And I had been bearish on the Dixie for a while and I had the target of 95, but on Monday I said that's it. I think we're not going to get there, and I'm now back to neutral. And I think that this little trend will probably continue. 115 is huge. That's the one you said, right? You talked about 115.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
Get up
And
there.
what I am worried about overall, it might not happen today or tomorrow, even next month, or I don't know when, but I'm worried that this frothiness in the markets and this craziness with AI and all that, eventually it's going to start to blow off. And when that happens, and we do get a dip in equities and risk off, the dollar gets bid always, almost always. And even though everybody hates the dollar right now, and I used to say this, of course, for the dollar as well, that deficits are huge and this and that, more debt, etc. But at some point, when things start, when the crap starts hitting the fan, everybody flocks to dollars. And when that happens, this downtrend is going to get exacerbated. And my target for the euro dollar is actually 112.5. But I'm not saying it's going to get there tomorrow, but that's where I think we're heading. And if we do get risk off, then the dollar gets bid, equities get sold, bonds get bid as well. And I think that such a move is long overdue. Of course, if the mania is still there, so people are still dancing while the music is still playing. But so in the very short term, I think 115 is a reasonable target, but I think we could go quite a bit lower if we do see risk off coming in the markets.
Yeah, that 112.5 will be massive because that's a 38.2 of the year's rally, and there's not that many pairs that have hit their 38.2 this year.
Yes.
Cable was one, if I've got it on there. Yep. I mean, look at that, bang on it, and then you got the bounce. So yeah, that's going to be a big old test. I think if we do get down there, but that probably means something's changed if we are heading that. Excuse me, if we are heading that much lower on that one, but levels are there to be traded, and that'll be a nice juicy one to keep an eye on there as well. One thing I wanted to just point out, I had a little bit of a punt last night. Well, I'll call it a punt, but there was some method in the madness. In dollar China, I was just looking at this one last night because we had China opening up today, and this one was moving a bit out of sync to where dollar China was. Let me put it on there so you can see what I'm talking about. I've got it there. No, what am I in? CNH? Is that the one? Yeah, that's the one. So this is where CNY had been trading, dollar CNY, and just over the last, well, pretty much the last couple of days, I was just watching this creeping up a bit, and I saw no reason why we'd see CNY opening up that high or moving that high when it opened, because they've been keeping it, as you can see there, pretty steady around that 712 area. And China opened and it came down. So this is just something I'm going to keep an eye on now for Chinese holidays, that if we see CNH moving out of kilter, because that stays open, that's the offshore one. So when the onshore one is closed and we see maybe the offshore one moving out of sync, then that could be something, a little opportunity just to have a little scalp into. So I had a little short last night, and I managed to grab a few pips out of that. So I like little opportunities like that. They pop up now and again. So we'll keep an eye on that one moving forward. Dollar Mex. Oh, now look, I've screwed everything up. Get rid of you. Boom. Dollar Mex still stuck in the thing, stuck in the range, not going anywhere. This and dollar CAD are pretty much doing the same thing at the moment. It's holding very tight. We have got USMCA negotiations starting now, so we could start to see these two pairs moving, dollar CAD, dollar MEX moving. 730, I've been trying to take a bit of profit into there. Wasn't about when that happened, but now we're seeing just a bit above it. So I'm going to take a little bit of profit if I see that level go. If we do go through there, maybe we'll go for a wander to the bottom of the range, and I might have a little look at that for a bit of a separate long just to play the range. But that's, as I say, watch those headlines now. USMCA stuff coming to the fore. Dollar CAD, as I say, doing pretty much. We got this zone here that we keep faffing around in. We don't want to take on the highs. we don't really want to take on the lows. I mentioned this 139.30s is an area to look at, and we got down to what, 34, 35 today. We got down to 32, 33 yesterday. So we are got this wider, slightly wider range going on at the moment. Nothing changes here unless we're breaking 139s or bashing above that 139.78 area, because that will mean we're going for a run on 140 at least. So staying pretty tight. Still, a lot of these pairs just intraday are just really doing nothing at the moment. I don't know if it's the shutdown. I don't know. Let's go into that one. Aussie dollar. I don't know what's going to kick us out. You got any thoughts? What might kick us out?
I don't know, but we are in tight ranges, and I think everybody's waiting to see how the dollar resolves. And of course, the dollar's going to move all these currencies, but all these pairs. But a shutdown is something that is a little bit worrying. I mean, usually it's not. Shutdowns always get resolved. It takes a day or 2 or 3 weeks, doesn't matter. But you have Trump now saying that, oh, it's a good thing because we save money. And he also said that there's going to be quite a few people not coming back to their jobs. So if that happens, then that is definitely not good news for anybody, not for the US, not for markets in general. So I have this. Normally, I would say, yeah, whatever, a shutdown. But now it's something that worries me a little bit. So I think the market's probably thinking likewise. So saying, let's wait and see how all this resolves. Way too many unknowns at the moment. Too many things, and then we decide. But so for now, we're seeing the dollar going. Most currencies going broadly sideways. But I have no clear view at the moment. I am also just waiting to see how this resolves.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's something I've been saying on the show since the shutdown. It's a clock thing. It's a timing thing. The longer it goes on, the worse things are going to get. Because firms, we know what the jobs market doing. The jobs market's walking a fine line. We know there's no hiring, but we know there's no firing as well. And I think the longer this goes on, farmers affected. We've got people furloughed, military affected. We've got air traffic controls, and all those government contracts and all those firms who rely on government money. If they were, holding off firing people because they were just ticking along, this could push a lot of firms over the edge. And then when we do get the data, we find that the effect has actually been bigger than what everyone's anticipated. It could be a bit of a floodgates moment for the labour market, and that's going to be hard to see bounce back really quickly. I think still, because a lot of people saying, yeah, GDP will take a hit and then it will recover. I don't think it will in this situation, because a lot of firms are walking a fine line at the moment.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that 100%.
So I'm if we're another 2 weeks into this, I'm going to start getting a bit bearish on the dollar. I think if it's not turned already, and I think that when we do get the data coming out, it's not going to be good reading. But yeah, we shall see. As I say, it's all on the clock. This is something that's either going to play out quickly or it's going to play out longer. Angela's asking, the dollar coming off across the board. It isn't. As we've been watching recently, it can be very selective where the dollar's moving. Aussie dollar's not doing anything. Dollar yen's flying around. The yen's flying around. We've got a lot of volatility in there. Cable, we're actually seeing, a bit of dollar strength coming in. Yes, we've got a bit of a bounce here, but it's 40 pips. Euro dollar, yes, it's bleeding lower. Dollar strength. So it's not, as I showed with dollar CAD, that's doing absolutely nothing. So what the dollar's doing nothing is it's very selective what we're seeing. So that does tell me that the market is very unsure at the moment. It's not a straightforward buy dollars, sell dollars, or anything else. It's certainly stock markets, buy stock, buy gold. That's certainly the straight trade still at the moment, for however long that lasts. But currencies, yeah, they're just a little bit all over the shop, and if they're uncertain, it just makes trading just that little bit harder, and it makes me think, don't trust a lot of what's going on. Don't get don't get too sucked into a bias or one side of a trade. Yeah, trade the levels, trade intraday, and go with the flow, as we say. If it's looking bearish today, you trade it bearish. If it's looking bullish tomorrow, you trade it bullish. If you're trading it
Go
intraday.
with the flow show.
Go with the flow show.
There you
We love
go.
that saying. We love that saying. Right. Anyone else? Anyone else? What's Ali up to? He's always up to something. Ali, you're long euro dollar. The new week open gap. Do we have a gap? Where do we have a gap? What gap are you talking about, Ali? The new week open gap. Don't know what gap we had. Is there a gap in there? I can't see any gaps, mate. Monday, we had a gap on Monday, did we? Where? Oh, that little thing there. No, that's fine. That was the weekend gap. Is that the one you're on about? That little gap there? I don't know. You know what I think about gap trading anyway. Well, it's already closed, so I don't know what anyone wants to do with that gap. Oh, you're short today. Sorry, Ali. I'm getting. You both got the same coloured avatar. Right, so you're long in dollar CAD as well. Added more at 39.30. Yeah, that's fair enough. Playing a bit of the range there. Anything else for anything else? Let's have a look at the S&P. I've not got much to say about the S&P. It keeps making new highs. It's a bit like what we're seeing in gold. I drew this line the other day, 67.50s. A bit of a break point. We get nosed above it there. We messed around here. Now we're finding support against it again. So this level is looking a bit key in terms of your intraday price action. If we're holding this, then, you know, new highs are on the cards. But just look at this. We've got a high, then we couldn't quite get to that high. Then this test isn't getting as high as that high. So just based on this price action today, there's probably a slightly higher probability that we go and break this level and see a bit more downside. But, you know, we continue to hold it. So a level's a level until it's not. Addy, yeah, I'll have a look at that. Addy, did you see? Yeah, I'm going to assume you're the same Addy in our chat room. Did you see my note you asking about euro dollar last night? I didn't catch it until late last night. I did reply in the end. So if you want to scroll back and look at that, I've still got your line on the chart. That one there that you put on. Aussie, what do you want to look at?
Ryan, sorry to interrupt. I have to run, so I will.
Yeah, go ahead, mate.
See you later on today.
Yeah, thanks for stepping in, mate.
Cheers, mate. No problem. Have a great day, everybody. I've made you host already. Okay.
Lovely. Thanks, mate. Yeah, Eddie, Aussie, I just looked at that. There's not much to say about that. It's looking intraday. We're going to talk intraday stuff now. It is looking intraday a bit more bearish. We had this low, Tuesday, coming into Wednesday. The bounce couldn't quite get up into and hold into 66. We're back below. We're holding or trying to hold below again now. So there's just been a little shift intraday. These 66.20s rock solid. But yeah, just looking a little bit weaker today. But this is all, you know, very sideways action. Keep an eye on this zone here. We pulled up that high, pulled up just ahead of it. It's a bit of a traffic zone. If we break this low, we're probably going to go for a mess around that zone. And if we break that, then we're probably looking down towards these lows again, 65.10, 65 the figure. But you know what you need to do. If we want to break up, we need to get above these series of highs up here. And even then, that level there, maybe then we go running up to the higher 66s again. You're long Kiwi and Aussie, Angela. Okay, let's know where you're long. Just today, just here, or yesterday, or where? Michael wants to look at Euro Sterling. Well, we had a little nudge into the zone yesterday. We're back above. Again, we're just in a little bit of a short-term bearish phase, seeing these lower lows, lower highs. So it depends what you want to do. If you want to mess around in the middle here, you know, you've got these little levels to rely on. 87, we tried on Tuesday, couldn't hold above it. We run into trouble there again. So if we fail again there, then maybe we're going to dip down. Watch out this low. If we break that low, maybe we dip to the bottom of the zone, then do another zigzag up and down, up and down. The wider picture remains the same. 86, 85, 90 is the main level down here. You've got some of these old levels to look at, 20s, 10s, 30s, every sort of 10, 15 pips. If you want to trade that intraday, those are the little areas you want to look at. But otherwise, we're still in this pretty wide range, 85, 90, 86, up to those highs, and the old magic 87, 20 area that we need to get above. So you can't think about anything else above here unless we're getting above that 87, 20 level. All in $1 trade, Angela. Wait, well, good luck with that. Okay, Brian, I'll look at cable for you, though it's in a bit of a similar picture to everything else. Bit of sideways action, bit of a, you know, move out the bottom. You got these lows here, 133, 30s, 20s. Keep an eye on those. If there's not much going on, these are the sort of levels you're probably going to find holding. But again, just short term, just the last week or so, we're in a bit of a downtrend. But these sort of things, it doesn't take much to turn around. One big headline and boom, we're up at 135, 36s again. Conversely, something else, you know, we're down testing 131s. You know where the big level is. You need to keep an eye on if we continue this bleeding lower. It's that 38.2 again, and that 131.70 level, which is an age-old level as well. But otherwise, we're just ranging about a bit. I'm going to have a quick look, see what's coming up on the cow today, see what little piddly numbers we might have coming up. We've got power speaking, but it's I think it's just some opening remarks at some unimportant event. So it's questionable whether he's going to touch on monetary policy or anything like that. Not that he's got anything he needs to say, really. Markets are pretty calm. But we'll obviously keep an eye out in case he does say something. And then we've got some other Fed heads. None of this data will be coming out. Conference board, employment trends, construction spending. We ain't getting none of that. And that's about it. Got a 30-year bond auction later on. Just keep an eye on that in case we're seeing anything just in the longer end of these auctions. But other than that, not a lot out at all. So I think we'll call it a day for today. Thank you for coming. Thank you for watching us here. Have a great day, and we'll see you all tomorrow.